Who is Marcelo H. del Pilar? Marcelo H. del Pilar was a renowned Filipino writer, journalist, and a patriot. He was born on August 30, 1850 in Bulacan, Philippines. Del Pilar is best known for his prolific writings and his significant role in the Filipino reform movement during the late 19th century. He was a staunch advocate for political reform and Filipino independence from Spanish colonial rule. Marcelo H. del Pilar lived during the 19th century, with the peak of his activism and writing occurring in the late 1800s. He passed away on July 4, 1896. He was born in Bulacan, Philippines, and later became a prominent figure in the Filipino reform movement in Spain, particularly in Madrid, where he was involved in the publication of the newspaper La Solidaridad. Del Pilar's writings were instrumental in raising awareness about the injustices and abuses of the Spanish colonial regime in the Philippines. He used his pen to advocate for political reforms, social justice, and the independence of his homeland. His work played a crucial role in inspiring and mobilizing Filipinos in their struggle for freedom.
Dasalan at Tuksuhan, or Prayers and Mockery by Marcelo H. del Pilar, is a satirical essay that targets the corrupt practices of the Spanish friars and authorities in the Philippines during the late 19th century. Here are 3 excerpts from the work, along with explanations of their thoughts and significance. Excerpt number 1. I learned that the reason there is no begging friar is because in the confessional box, they no longer ask for cash donations, since they have devised another way to get hold of money. It is enough for you to mention that you have a dream to hear a sermon of half an hour, and for this service, you are obliged to give them 4 to 8 pesos. The thought and significance in this excerpt is that Del Pilar humorously exposes the greed of the friars, who used various tactics to extract money from the people, by mentioning that even mentioning a dream could lead to a lengthy sermon and substantial donations. He also highlights the absurdity of the situation. This excerpt sheds light on the financial exploitation of the Filipino people by the clergy, a pervasive issue during that time. The second excerpt. The monks seem to fear that the poor will cease to sin. They exploit the misery and helplessness of the poor, forcing them to gamble. The curate and the friar are always the first to arrive at the cockpit, as if they were more adroit than anyone in gambling. In this passage, Del Pilar criticizes the friars for promoting vices like gambling among the poor. He suggests that the friars, who should be guiding the people towards moral values, are instead actively participating in these vices. This exposes the hypocrisy and moral decay within the clergy and underscores their role in perpetuating social problems among the impoverished population. The third excerpt. They cultivate the illusion that without the friars, the town will perish. They make the people believe that the world would turn upside down without them. In this excerpt, Del Pilar highlights the manipulation and fear tactics employed by the friars to maintain their influence and control over the Filipino population. By convincing the people that their existence is essential for the town's survival, the friars perpetuated their power and discouraged any form of resistance or dissent. This passage sheds light on the psychological and emotional manipulation used by the friars to maintain their dominance. During the time it was written, Dasalan and Tuksuhan was significant as it provided the scathing critique of the Spanish friars and their exploitative practices, which were deeply ingrained in the Philippine society. Del Pilar's satirical approach was not only a form of social commentary, but also a means of awakening the Filipino people to the injustices they were enduring under Spanish colonial rule. The work played a role in galvanizing public opinion against the friars and the colonial administration, contributing to the growing movement for reform and eventual independence.